This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and Tim Hankewich from Orchestra, Iowa is in today for the next concert, which is entitled String Theory.
Yes.
Strings. There will be strings.
There will be strings. Makes you feel awfully
Shocker.
smart. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We did a
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought
Who'd have thunk it?
an orchestra concert would have strings?
Yeah, just maybe one or two. You know, we did a program like this 3 or 4 years ago, and it was really successful. So we thought we'd come back, and it's basically, as the title would suggest, a work filled with iconic music written for a string orchestra. So we have a large string orchestra ensemble on stage, but some really neat repertoire. Actually, that's kind of off the beaten track.
So when we say string, so literally, we were joking, but just the strings.
Just the strings.
No brass. How about percussion?
No, well, very minimally. And of course, you're going to see some woodwinds because one of the pieces that we're performing is the Concierto de Aranjuez by Rodrigo, which is a guitar concerto, hence your string theory. But still, you will see other members of the orchestra. We won't turn them away when they show up at the door.
That's right. Yeah, there needs to be a little wind.
Yeah,
somewhere along the line, the orchestra needs a little wind.
Just a little,
even in a string.
Yeah,
concert.
that's right.
So the Rodrigo is familiar to the jazz audience because Miles Davis
absolutely he
recorded a really well-known version.
Yeah, we were off air. We were talking about this, what the copyright would be, because the slow movement of the Rodrigo is just absolutely stunningly gorgeous, and it's one of those aha pieces that when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, I know that piece. And I'm not sure if the melody itself was a folk song in the public domain or if it was actually composed by Rodrigo and then remade into the Miles Davis version. And for you movie fans out there who are fans of Brastoff, that was remade into a brass ensemble piece, which is to great effect in the movie. And so it's one of these sort of heart on your sleeve, emotionally tugging songs that sort of permeated pop culture, but it started with this guitar concerto written in 36 or so.
Okay, well, and really not, but by classical standards, pretty recent.
That is a pretty recent piece, absolutely. But I feel bad for classical guitarists because there are many great guitar concertos in the repertoire, but this is the one that people always want to hear. And I think we did this, the last time we did it here was the year of the flood, 2008. And so it's time we bring this back. And Ana Vidovic, who is our soloist, is just drop dead great.
How did you come to learn about her?
Well, often, as in many production companies, you often get phone calls and solicitations from agents. And that's how I first became aware of her work. And then, of course, I have a network of my own friends and spies who are conductors in the industry. And I did my homework, phoning up a couple friends who she's worked with. And I thought, hey, how is she to work with? And they said, oh, man, you got to hire her. She is just unbelievable. And so, obviously, agencies come to your attention, but it's really your word of mouth and your sources that you trust. And she's just fantastic.
Talking with Tim Hankewich from Orchestra, Iowa about string theory. What else is on the program?
So this is kind of fits into a larger scheme of what we've been doing this season. I've called this the Year of the Woman, in which every program that we have either features a female artist or a composition by a female composer. And in this case, we have both. The work begins with a composition by a composer named Anna Klein, who's from Scotland. And there must be something in the water in Scotland, because right now the world's leading women composers tend to come from that area of the world. And she's no exception, and she wrote this piece for the Los Angeles Philharmonic a long time ago, not long ago, a couple years back for Esa-Pekka Salonen, and it's called Within Her Arms. And it's a very mystical, religious work, and it's intended to capture the acoustics and the atmosphere of a cathedral. So if you were to go to this large, cavernous location, and you sit there, and you'll hear people whispering in prayer, and sometimes a bunch of people reciting the same words, but not in unison with each other. And so you hear the same words, but yet not in sync. And so you'll hear this ensemble kind of come in and out of focus. And yet there's a large-scale arch to the piece that's really quite moving. And it was written in memory of I think her mother. And so it's a very moving work, and it's really great to be able to open up a whole new vista and start championing some of these composers that need to be heard.
Well, and people all often talk about the difference between, classical music that was recorded, years ago, and they call it the classical era, I guess, and then new music, and without really trying to, because female composers, you've played some stuff this year by female composers from the classical era, but to be honest, most of these pieces come from the more modern era. So you're kind of hitting both things. You're playing some newer music and also featuring women.
The term classical music is actually really kind of clunky because I think today it really means acoustic music that features probably a symphony orchestra. And sure enough, most of the exciting work that women are doing right now is contemporary music that's been written in the last 10 years or so. But yet the medium that they're writing for is this ensemble that's been around for centuries. And of course, we also finish with somebody that I'm sure everybody will recognize, and that's Dvorak. You may have heard him.
Seems to me he got around. He hung out in Eastern Iowa.
He has,
at one point.
So we have the whole gamut of music that's long been since composed and music that's really fresh off the presses.
The concert is String Theory, March 15th and 16th. So 15th, you're at
Coralville Center for the Performing Arts
in Coralville on Friday night, and at the Paramount on Saturday.
Right, and come anyway. Because shortly after both concerts, we'll be releasing next season, so you'll get a sneak peek of what's going on next year.
What's going to be happening? Okay.
Yes.
All right. And tickets, as always, at your website, which is
artsiowa.com or orchestraiowa.org.
Tim Hankewich is the musical director of Orchestra Iowa at orchestraiowa.org. Tim, thanks for being here today. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most Thursdays and Fridays at 10:20, or download the video podcast and watch or listen at your leisure using your favorite podcast app or at kcck.org/culture. I'm Dennis Green.